All right, welcome to the show. Today we got sailing with Phoenix, aka Oliver, correct?
Yep, that's it.
Is Phoenix the cat?
Phoenix is my cat, yeah.
Oh,
And my
okay,
boat.
awesome.
So I named my boat after my cat.
Oh, awesome,
So,
awesome, man.
yeah.
Thank you so much for spending some time and hopping on. I just kind of came across, I think it was your Instagram or maybe it was on YouTube. I just binge watched all of the YouTube videos, so I feel like I already know you.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Well, I guess first and foremost, dude, you're going through the trials and the tribulations, the starter motor, the windlass,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. Like keeping a pretty positive outlook on it.
Yeah, you have to. It's the only way. But it is an obscene amount of work and yeah, constantly in brain pain because, I'm so out of my element that everything is it's just constantly learning. And yeah, but I just keep figuring it out. So,
Yeah, take it like one project at a time. Just like, all
yeah,
right, we'll
not
nail
it's
that
not one
one.
it's like 17 projects at a time. I've got throughout the boat, I've got 8 different active projects going right now.
Yeah, right.
So,
Well, so how long have you had the boat? And just for the listeners, can you tell us what type of boat it is and stuff?
yeah, well, it's a 1991 Com-Pac 33. It's modeled after the Island Packet, but it's not as good as the Island Packet. Com-Pac primarily makes trailer sailors, like dinghy sailors and trailer sailors. So this is the largest boat they made. And so basically, I'm going to be sailing around the world in a giant dinghy sailor, which is which is kind of interesting. It's a beautiful boat. It's a strong boat. It has like an encapsulated keel, and it's very it was built tough. It doesn't have a protected rudder, which is what it is. I had no idea what I was doing when I got extremely lucky that I
Yeah.
didn't buy some falling apart Catalina or something, you know, because it's much better than that. And there's no major stuff wrong with it. Like all of the work I've done to it has been simply just stuff that hasn't been done since 19 like replacing hoses
Yeah.
and then some wiring and then just outfitting the boat so it's capable for offshore sailing. So I
Right.
haven't had to do any major up until very soon here. I'm gonna have to fill a hole in my deck for my windlass, but I haven't had to do anything major other than that.
Well, what? Yeah. So the original windlass crapped out on you, and now.
No, the original windlass is fine. It's just it's so the my anchor locker is so messed up, and I think because they make trailer sailors, they just used the stuff they have
Uh
because
huh.
that's what they make, and they only made 10 of these boats. So they just kind of there's some parts of the boat that where it's like, oh yeah, this is not how it's supposed to be. So my anchor locker is tiny,
Yeah.
and my windlass was using just it was a Lumar V700, so it only fit quarter-inch chain. So I only have 50 feet of quarter-inch chain, and that's it. 50 feet
That's
of
a little
quarter.
tiny. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for dinghies. And so I figured that wasn't. I figured the most important thing would be ground tackle. So I got a new windlass, which is a completely different bolt pattern, completely different size hole, which is
Yeah.
crazy. But and then I've got 150 foot of 5/16 high test chain, and then 150 foot of road, which I have no idea if it'll fit in the anchor locker. So
Well,
I'm gonna have
after you cut that one plank of
the
wood out of there,
yeah.
probably should, I would think, man.
Yeah, I think if it does, I think it'll just require me to run down and knock it over. Because you know how it
Oh, it
piles up,
piles up. Yeah. Yeah.
which is what it is.
Yeah.
If
No,
that's
no,
what
for
it is, and
sure.
that's what it is.
I actually have so I have a West Sail 32,
Cool,
and
those are nice boats.
yeah, it's the old classic.
Yeah,
She's 1975, and So she just turned 50 this year,
Cool.
which is kind of cool. But
Yeah.
as far as the windlass in the chain, it goes down into a little bit of a locker, but then there's a hole in that, and then it goes directly all the way down in the bilge, so that when I'm
Well,
out
that's
there,
cool.
I can then go down and drag all the chain as far aft as almost midship, just to sort of keep the weight in the middle of the
Is
boat if
it
I
how
can.
is it in like a tube?
No, it
Just
runs
falls
through
in.
like, and it falls through a big hole in where the anchor locker is. And like you said, I mean, it piles up, and sometimes I have to grab it. But usually, I'm just doing blue water ocean sailing, so
Yeah.
I take the anchor and stow that and all the chain and everything. On the
Yeah.
big trips, I'll actually take the windlass off because it's one of those old like hand crank ones. So I
Oh,
just
nice.
unbolt it, yeah, and
Yeah.
then store it down below. But
I was originally looking at getting one of those, getting a manual windlass, but I couldn't really find one. They're hard to find. And then any of the ones that I saw that were used were just,
rough
had to be like
shape.
refurbished.
Right. Mine needs to as well. It's skipping like I don't know. I don't know if hopefully it's not missing any teeth, but I think I
Yeah.
just need to like clean it all out and everything because it had been stowed for a long time. But
Oh yeah.
it's definitely a super important part of the
Yeah.
boat, especially
Yeah.
what as far as your goal. I know it's to go around the world. Are there certain areas that you're going to be peeling through, like South Pacific, all that sort of stuff?
I'll be completely honest, man. Like I am an absolute idiot, and I haven't really planned it out. Like I haven't planned it out.
It's
like
totally fine, man. No, no.
I, I know I'm sailing around the world, and I know I'm sailing to Hawaii in May. When I get to Hawaii, the plan from there, as far as I've gotten, as far as planning it, is basically Hawaii, then French Polynesia,
Gotcha,
and then I
gotcha.
think from there there's some options. Like you could go to Australia, which would be cool. Um, so I mean, yeah, that's as far as I've gone planning it. Basically, I was also thinking about just like if you know Sailor James, um,
I think I've seen.
sailing.
Does he's got all the tattoos, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like just literally following his route. So, because that's basically so far what I'm doing. So I was thinking about just doing that and just you know, slowly but sure. I'm in like really no big rush to sail around the world, but I'm for sure going to. It might take me like 4 years, might take me like 20. I don't know, but we'll see what
Well,
happens.
and it's kind of smart to not try and plan way too far in advance
Oh,
because
you psych yourself out. You're like
get
your mind
overwhelmed.
melts. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah. So taking
exactly.
it kind of one passage at a time. But I mean that first passage is a
Yeah,
pretty hefty one, dude. Are there
yeah.
any concerns and stuff like that?
Not really. Like I don't know. Not really. Like I don't think a whole lot about. Like I don't. I'm sure like a week before I leave, the nerves will like settle in, and I'll start to think about the things. But
Yeah, yeah.
as of right now, I'm just too busy, so I don't really like think about it a whole lot. But no, I'm not really too concerned. I don't know. I think I'm doing all the right things, and I don't know. Yeah, just
I
gonna go for it.
think
Yeah.
well, and that honestly that is what kind of made me want to reach out to you is the fact that you are just going for it and
Yeah.
you're jumping straight in and I do a lot of coaching and consulting and stuff like that when it comes to sailing and it's one of those things where that is an impediment for so many people is to just take
Yeah.
that leap and go for it. And I guess, I mean, I know some of your backstory, and you've got some pretty good motivation to just say, "Screw it, I'm doing what I want to do."
Yeah.
And but it takes a lot. I mean, where do you get the strength to just be like, "Dude, I'm going for it"?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was just like the hardest part was like changing my life because like I knew nothing about sailing up until like a year ago.
Yeah,
And I just knew it was one of those just like far off dreams where it's like, yeah, that's like a dream, you know.
one
But
day I'm
yeah,
gonna. Yeah,
exactly. And then I finally, the hardest part was quitting my career and making that jump. But once I've done that, it's like, and then liquidating my 401k. But once I've done that, like that's like that was my point of no return. And once I crossed that point, everything's been like it's like I'm not like messing. I'm not just like I didn't just buy a boat to, dingleberry around. You know what I mean? Like yeah. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah. No, well, I mean, kind of getting a boat with a mission as well, not
yeah,
just like, oh, I'd like to be a boater, but it is, I mean, that was the impetus behind me getting the West Sail. I mean, my goal was to do a solo nonstop around the world,
that'd be
and
sweet.
it's a different sort of journey,
Yeah,
not stopping anywhere and going through the Southern Ocean and stuff. But yeah, I think having sort of that goal in the back of your mind when you go and get the boat, and then you sort of have that mission. I don't know. It kind of it brings on the adventure. It's I
yeah,
think a bit of a different feeling. Plus, it's a heck of a motivator when you know
yeah,
that you're going to be heading over that empty horizon. How
yeah.
many days do you have before you trying to leave May 1st?
I'm gonna leave I'm doing the countdown. Um, so like I'll leave May 1st if like the boat needs to be ready by May
Yeah.
1st. I need to be absolutely ready to go on May 1st. But obviously, because I have to cross the Columbia Bar, which is like the most dangerous river bar
Yeah,
in the
right.
world. So the most dangerous part of my passage will be like for a couple hours on day one, and so I obviously will wait for the appropriate time to cross. Like just last week, I think it was, there was 32-foot seas just outside here, and
Jeez.
so if it's 32-foot seas, I'm not gonna cross the bar, but. Um, uh, but yeah, if the weather permits, then May 1st.
May 1st. Nice. So that's coming up, dude.
Yeah, 52 days.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait. I can't wait to be in warm weather, too.
Yeah, it looks a little bit miserable because you're on the Columbia River, aren't you?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Oregon.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
at the Oregon coast, and it's cold, wet, miserable.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't get any worse. Yeah.
I spent a decent amount of time up in like Maine, and
Yeah, it's cold.
this winter I Sparrow was on the hard in the Cape Hatteras area in North Carolina for like almost 2 years, and I sat in the boatyard for like a month waiting for the water levels to go up high enough so they could launch me and all that stuff. But man, I mean, bone chilling in the 20s. Just you can't escape that cold, man. It's hard. But you installed your own a diesel heater on there, right?
Yeah, yeah, which it's been wonderful to have a diesel heater and saves me a ton of money, too,
Oh,
which has
how
been
does it
good.
save you the money? Just because you're not
Well,
doing
I was using an
electricity?
electric heater,
Right, right,
and
right.
so the electric it was like $240 a month for my electric bill because I'm
Holy
running that
cow.
thing so much, and like so this boat was built for the Caribbean, so it's got like literally the companionway. It's got like vents in it. It's vented
Oh, right,
to
right,
the
right.
outside,
Yeah.
so it's like it doesn't retain any heat. So yeah, that thing was just pumping away, but now yeah, the diesel heater's been wonderful.
Well, and has that helped like keep the moisture level and stuff down, having it warm? Because I know mine, I'm if I'm down there and I'm breathing and all that, there's condensation on all the portholes because my
Yeah,
boat doesn't have any sort of insulation or anything like that, and I too suffer greatly from mold, the
yeah,
plague, as
yeah,
I like to call it.
yeah. I don't know that the diesel heater. Oh, I guess I have a propane heater, which puts out moisture, but I never really used it,
Uh huh.
just because it just drinks propane.
Yeah.
Um, but I've got a massive dehumidifier that I use, that has been a game changer. Um, so yeah, that makes a huge difference. Like the inside of my boat is bone dry. Now
Right.
this is my
Right.
cat, Phoenix.
Hey, Phoenix. How long have you had the cat?
7 years.
Wow,
Yeah, she
okay.
she found me in a dumpster.
Really?
We've been best friends ever since. But she was uh, they think she was like 3 months old, and I found her in a dumpster at work, and I never had a cat before. Uh, I never wanted a cat, but I saw her, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna have a. You can't do. I'm
You
not just gonna
can't,
like,
yeah, you can't
yeah,
leave that.
And
Right.
then yeah, we've been best friends ever since. She's gonna walk all over the keyboard here.
Yeah, right. How does she handle being on the boat? I've got a lot of friends that have like dogs, small
Mhm.
dogs and stuff on their boats, but I don't know if I've ever met anybody that's got a cat. She like
Yeah,
being on the boat?
yeah, it's way better than being like in an apartment because she, walks around on the deck and stuff.
Yeah.
It was tough for her at first because the boat, rocks and stuff, but she's totally gotten used to it, which is really cool. And she's been seasick once, but so have I. So, so
You can
she,
share in the
yeah,
misery of that.
yeah, she's
Well,
adjusted.
dude, I was laughing out loud when you were talking about how she goes and if she gets into like the bilges and stuff like that, she can
But yeah,
just scurry down. That's crazy, dude.
yeah, yeah. I've lost her inside the boat before.
I know it's not well
Yeah,
because yeah, if you think about it, they're kind of they can squirm into like the teeniest
yeah,
little holes,
yeah. And
and
he likes, that's what they're looking for, like mice and stuff.
yeah, yeah, right.
And so she wants to go. So I have to, when I work on the boat, I just have to be super cautious. I don't leave anything open that she can, travel into the bowels of the boat.
Yeah, I would think that because if she disappears, there's a bit of worry there, but then you kind of
But yeah,
know.
like when she first disappeared, there's a bilge here, and so I didn't know where she was. Like I left the boat to go to the store or something and come back, and I didn't know where my cat was, and so I'm like looking around everywhere, like there's nowhere she could have gone, and I lift up the floorboard, and there's like a shallow bilge, and there's a little hole cut out on the side of it to
Yeah.
where so the water can drain through, and there's her head that's in there, and I was like, oh my god, how I was like, I'm gonna have to like cut up the boat to get her out. I'm gonna have to cut the boat in half. And yeah, so that was petrifying, but yeah, she was fine, but
Yeah, it
yeah,
must be. I mean, it must be kind of cool. I've often thought it'd be pretty nice to grab an animal. I'd probably go with like a small dog, but I do know there's one guy who I think did a circumnavigation with the chicken on board,
but yeah, yeah,
and like
cool,
that's a food producer as well, so that's kind of
yeah,
cool. But
yeah, that is cool.
I don't know. I the trips that I do, I just kind of I don't know. I kind of feel bad because sometimes I'm out at sea for like literally months and months and months, and
Yeah,
I don't know. But I do know a lot of dogs and stuff and cats. They enjoy it, man. They get out
yeah.
there and it
I
suits
think
them just
cats
fine.
too. Like, I mean, I'm with her all the time. So like the alternative is, she would be at an apartment and I'd be at work for 12 hours a day.
Right.
So now, I'm with her all the time, and I don't think she minds it. I think she enjoys it. I don't know.
Well, and just to have company out there. I mean, cause what is it from Oregon to Hawaii? How many miles do you think? How many miles is that one?
It's like 2,500 miles.
25. Okay.
Yeah.
So looking at probably what, 25, 30 days or something like that to get out there. How much cat food do you have to bring?
I'll bring like a big bag of cat food, but I'm just gonna feed her like, uh, I get those cans of chicken.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I kind of spoil her a bit, so I'll be feeding her that. But then I'll have a giant bag of cat food,
Right,
which
just in
lasts
case.
forever. It lasts a long
Gotcha.
time. So
Because you got to worry. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you're responsible for her life, and
yeah,
you might
yeah,
be eating mac and cheese, but she's getting the good stuff.
yeah. She's getting the protein. Yeah, yeah.
That's
She
cool,
eats
man.
about as better than I do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like I only get her like the really good, like the healthy cat food, just because I want her to live forever. So
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure, man. It's good. It's
yeah,
definitely good.
yeah.
Can I ask? So, how much sort of sailing experience do you have right now, kind of going into this adventure?
Like 6 months maybe, of like 6 months of sailing, pretty much every weekend or every other weekend.
All up on the river, or have you been able to venture out yet?
I've never left the river. It's all been river sailing.
Whoa.
Other than, yeah, my family lives in Portugal, so I went to go visit family. This is when I first started sailing. I
Yeah.
went to go visit family, and I was like, well, I'm in Portugal. Let's see if I can rent a boat so me and my brother can go sailing. Somehow I found a boat because I couldn't find anything. And
Yeah.
somehow I found some dude on like a Craigslist that was renting out his boat for $200. And it was a 30-foot sailboat.
Oh,
And
nice.
I didn't have to like show anything, any proof of anything. I just gave him the $200. He was like, all right, man. And I was like, sweet. And so we went and sailed off the coast of Portugal. And it was like 35 knots of wind with absolutely massive, I mean, massive to me, because, you know, in comparison to the river,
Yeah.
massive waves. And that was the most fun I've ever had in my life. But that's the extent of, I guess, you know, offshore sailing that I have.
Right, right,
But
right. Okay. Well, it's, I mean, you know, it's one of those things where it's good to hear that at least you've been out on a boat and you've
yeah,
been sort of messing around with them and stuff, and a little bit of ocean experience. I mean, obviously when you jump out there, you're gonna get experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a
yeah,
week till you get out. But
yeah. I'm sure by the time I get to Hawaii, I will have figured it out. Like, not figured it out, but like by the time I get there, I'll be in like rhythm. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
I'll just step into rhythm as I get there. Is my guess.
Yeah, because dude, I've sailed for years and I still haven't got it figured out.
Yeah, no, I'm not that I will get it figured out. Yeah, I totally am realizing that. Yeah, I think for the rest of my life, it'll just be learning because
Yeah.
there's so much to it.
Well, and the more you learn, the less you actually, or no, what is it? There's a great quote from Bernard Moitessier, who's one of the great like solo
Yeah,
sailors. He always said the more he learned, shit, I'm screwing this up. The more he learned about like weather and oceans and all that stuff, the more he realized he really didn't know anything about it.
yeah.
And
No, I know nothing. I know nothing. I know nothing.
but you're
And
going for it though. That's
yeah,
really
yeah.
that is the cool part. Did you have any like sailing inspirational people that
Yeah, it was just like it was Sailor James. I think it was his one of his YouTube videos. The one that like made his YouTube go crazy
Mhm.
was the one where he sailed from California to Hawaii, and he had rudder failure.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that was like 3 years ago, and I was sitting on the couch, you know, like after a long day of work, turned on the YouTube, and that popped up, and I saw that, and I was like, "Oh, that's absolutely nuts! I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know that was a thing." And so yeah, and then I was like, I want to do that, and I tried to do this once before, and just totally overplanned it, psyched myself out, couldn't build the courage to quit my job, and just like we were talking about earlier, I thought I was thinking just way too far ahead
Yeah.
at things that aren't even real or maybe never will be real. And I just completely psyched myself out, didn't do it, and then went another 2 years of, you know, just idling through life. And then, yeah, I basically snapped one day and quit my job. And like, I quit my job with a plan of sailing around the world, and then but I had no idea. So I quit my job with no like real plan, no backup plan, no money, nothing, and I was totally screwed. And then I had this great idea. I was like, oh, I got a 401k. I had 50,000 in my 401k, and so I liquidated that. And then so yeah, 30 days after quitting my job, I bought this sailboat, because I was like the day I quit my job, I was like, I'm buying a sailboat. I don't know what it is, don't know how, don't know where I'm going to get it,
Yeah.
which is like not good advice. Yeah, I just got lucky that I didn't get like a bad boat.
Right, right.
And it's not perfect by any means. It's not designed for ocean sailing, but it's gonna be capable of getting it done.
Man,
Um,
people have been literally crossing oceans in some of the
Catalinas.
ricketiest old
Yeah,
boats. I mean, if
yeah,
you go back, shoot, the first person to cross an ocean alone was Alfred Johnson in 1876. He did it in a 22-foot wooden dory, and it took him, I think, like 70 something days.
yeah. That's
So
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's the thing though, is a lot of times people, I think, they hit these hurdles of like, my boat's not the right one, or oh, my boat's not ready, or I got to do this project, that project, and sometimes it can always turn into just a never-ending cycle of like, nah, the boat's not ready yet, I can't go. But sometimes you just have to do what you're doing, where you just
Yeah, you
like,
just gotta go.
we're gonna go
And
for it.
uh, like the constant like motivator is just literally walk around the marina. Every single boat in the marina is just just lost dreams. All these boats are just falling apart, and I don't know. That's the single biggest motivator. I feel like it's because exactly what you're saying. Like the hardest thing to do is just cutting the ties, and just
Yeah.
going. So I got a Slipknot tattoo on my wrist for that reason.
Uh,
It's a constant. It's a reminder to always be ready to go. Never get
yeah.
stuck. You know what I mean? Always
Right.
be ready to untie and go. And so that's yeah. I just think that's a super important piece. And no one's ever ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're never ready. So
Never.
it
Absolutely
is what it
never.
is.
Well, have you ever watched Holly Martin, some of her videos, Wind Hippie?
Sounds really familiar.
She's one of the really, popular solo sailors. She left Maine years ago, and I think she's in Indonesia or something like that at this point. But her boat, like, she fixed it up, and when you look around it, it's not some, epic ocean cruising boat. It's not brand new. It's not. There's all these things that I think a lot of people would be like, no way can you do that. And she's like
Yeah,
proof positive that, hey, if you got the boat, you're good. It doesn't have to be like this absolute thing, and you don't have to be, because I think you even said it in one of your videos, you don't have to be some epic sailor with
yeah,
100,000 miles under your belt to at least go out and chase after it. I mean, it
yeah,
helps obviously
yeah,
to have
yeah,
that sort of
yeah,
experience,
yeah,
but I had done quite a bit of sailing as like a crew or a mate or a captain since I was like in my 20s. But when I bought my boat, like I had never solo sailed on the ocean, and it was a bit of a gamble whether or not I was going to be able to do it, but also whether or not I'd like it. And,
yeah,
thankfully I got lucky and it became like the full on passion of my life.
yeah. Cool, awesome.
So I don't know. It's been, it's a trial though, because dude, it's so funny watching you go through the starter motor and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I remember having to deal with all that, and I
yeah,
just kept thinking I wish I could cut this stupid engine out of my boat and just be like
yeah,
a
yeah,
purist sailor and all that. But after troubleshooting and screwing up all these fixes over the years, now the wealth of knowledge that you're going to be
yeah,
building at the time of being super frustrated
yeah.
is going
And
to help
replacing
you.
stuff that I don't even need to like. I didn't even need
I
to replace the
know, I
starter. It wasn't even
know.
the starter. And but now I know how to replace the starter.
Yeah,
I know how
yeah.
to take the alternator off, put it back together, and now I've got a spare starter. So I remember when I bought the boat, I looked at the engine and I was like, "Oh, I'm so screwed. I'm so screwed. I have no idea what I'm looking at."
They
And
look so complicated, and
yeah,
then
but it's not that
it's
crazy
not that
actually.
bad. Yeah,
No,
yeah. Well,
it's
do you have Nigel Calder's book on diesel maintenance?
I've got a bunch of books. I don't read but I do have all the books.
Yeah.
Um, I watch like a lot of YouTube, and I have a lot of like conversations with ChatGPT. Like none of this would be possible without ChatGPT. Like it's crazy. But ChatGPT like diagnoses everything for me. It doesn't always work. Sometimes you end up replacing a starter that you don't need to replace.
Yeah, yeah,
But
right.
but
Well,
through that I've been learning. Um, but yeah,
well, when you're out there, you gonna have connectivity, or you gonna have like Starlink or something?
yeah, I got Starlink. I wasn't gonna get Starlink originally, but I did because I don't want to like pull away from like the experience. I do want to be like completely out there. And I don't want to like be on like I don't want to be like worried about how many likes I'm getting on my like social
Yeah,
media. You know what I mean?
right.
And like seeing emails and stuff. Even though I will have so I have an Iridium Go as well.
Hmm.
So as like a redundancy, but yeah, I did end up getting it because I do want to uh, post on my social media and stuff because I am trying to make that work.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
you
Well,
know,
and because your YouTube channel is relatively new as far as when you started it. I think we
yeah,
got, I don't know how many just of the actual videos, because you got a lot of shorts as well. But it's already grown. I mean, you're getting close to like 2,000 subscribers
yeah,
on there, and it seems, I mean, the interaction between you and the people who comment and stuff, it's awesome, dude. I think
yeah,
you're on
yeah.
your way.
The ratio is great for the like. It's some of them only get like 800 views, but it's got like 50 comments. So
Right,
that's
right.
probably good. I
There's,
think a lot of it is actually it bled over from my social media,
yeah.
and I think that's where the followers have come from. But I don't know. It's just like anything. It literally is just like anything. It's just like sailing. It's just like social media. YouTube. It just keeps going. That's the secret. It doesn't matter how good. Like I'm putting out YouTube videos that are horrendous. They're not good. But it doesn't matter if I keep going every single week and I do this. Let's say I do it for the next 5 years. Every single week I'm putting out a video. They have to get better. You know what I mean? And
Gosh,
that's
yeah.
it.
Well,
You know?
and the audience, the nice part is you're very forthright about, I think, like all the issues and being frustrated, or it's a real glimpse into kind of what you're going through. And when there's that authenticity there, I think you sort of build a nice relationship with your viewership, and that's always gonna, I think, especially for the long run, keep growing. So it's not like you might not catch fire and go viral and all this sort of stuff, but you're also not going to fizzle out just as
Yeah.
fast.
I just figure I got to lead into what I got. Like I'm not like I'm not a hot chick in a bikini, and I'm not
Neither
like
am
super.
I.
Yeah, I'm not super knowledgeable about anything. So it's like, all right, we'll just lean into being the complete idiot trying to sail around the world, and that's what it is.
No, well,
But
you get a great sense of when like you're looking at a beautiful sunset or something
yeah,
like, and you're just like, you can see how much in awe you are of it.
well, it's
And
crazy, man. I didn't think any of this was possible. You know, it's
yeah,
absolutely crazy. It's nuts. Yeah. So
well, and it's relatable. I mean, and it's not, I meant to say this before too, but like when you cash in like your 401k, I'm sure the vast majority of people are kind of like, dude, that's insane. Why would you ever do that? Well,
yeah,
I mean, to me, that sounds like by doing the boat and planning this adventure, you're basically investing in your life, because
yeah,
we got all these experiences, and so many people get caught in that trap of like, someday I'm gonna, and they're
yeah,
just gonna work and work and work and work, and then something happens, and then that
yeah,
someday can never
yeah.
come.
Something's bound to happen where you can't do it anymore. So you're never gonna, there's no, yeah, exactly. And I don't remember what I was gonna say. I completely lost it. But
No, it's all right, man. Like I said, this show super casual.
yeah, cool.
I started this back in like 2020 with the idea of when I go out on these long trips, just doing recordings out at sea, because you get weird and like it's an emotional roller coaster and all that sort of stuff. But then after like a year or something, I started sitting down with people and other sailors and all that stuff, and it's been freaking awesome. Like, of all the different things that I post on, the podcast is probably the most fulfilling because you get to have
Yeah,
just nice conversations, get to
relatable
know people.
conversations.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah, dude. Because I don't
cool.
know. I mean, I think just like what you're throwing out there on YouTube and everything, it's sharing, or it's allowing other people to share in your experience. And I don't know. I think if you are authentic and you just kind of keep plugging away at it, yeah, I mean the money and stuff and the support will be there to then hopefully make it so you can just continue to do it.
Yeah, yeah. That's the goal. I mean, I went all in on it. I have no backup plan. That's the plan. Like that's it, man. You're just gonna keep going, keep grinding it out until it works.
No
And
safety net.
no, and so like I do have So yeah, I'm doing all this actually on credit cards right now. So
Oh
yeah,
man.
hear me out. Hear me out before you get there. I plan this out. It's gonna be okay. So by the time I get to Hawaii, I've budgeted it out. Um, and a lot of the stuff I've paid cash for. Like my hydrovane was $7,000. I paid for that.
Nice.
Um, so by the time I get to Hawaii, I should be a little bit over, maybe like 5,000 to 6,000 in debt, which is not a lot. And you know, I for the hydrovane, I paid for that literally eating nothing but rice and beans and like doing yeah, just being strapped. And I'm gonna just do that again because I've demonstrated to myself that I have the ability to live extremely lean.
Yeah.
So that's just what I'm gonna get to Hawaii, pay that down as quickly as possible, because I've got a job lined up there when I get there, and the marina fees are surprisingly not crazy expensive. They're like $350.
Oh, that's not bad for a month.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
for a month for non-live aboard.
Right. Right.
I won't be living aboard. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna use my buddy's address there, and um, yeah, pay that down as quickly as possible, and then save for my next passage. And the reason I'm doing all this work, like I could have gone, like before I've done all this work to the boat, other than needing the hydrovane, the boat I could have sailed to Hawaii as it was.
Yeah.
I'm doing all this work now because it's cheap. I have a car right now,
Yeah.
and so I
Convenient.
can, yeah, and so I can. That's why I'm doing the credit card thing, and I'm not paying complete cash for everything, so I can get just the boat ready to get it completely just outfitted and ready to sail to continuously cross oceans. You know what I mean? Aside from obviously like maintenance and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I'm doing all this work to the boat.
Well, and you're 100% right, because a lot of the repairs and stuff like that you'll probably end up having to do in Hawaii,
Yeah.
or further, especially further down the line, trying to get like parts and things like that
Yeah.
it becomes far more expensive. Anything you can do in the States before you go, especially those big purchases, a
Yeah.
hydrovane, because the Com-Pac doesn't have a skeg hung rudder. It's just got a
Yeah.
spade rudder, right?
So that will be, yeah, exactly, and that will be my backup rudder.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that's going to be like one of the most important items on my boat. As long as I don't lose my rudder post, we should be good.
You should be all right.
You know?
Yeah. Knock
Yeah.
on wood.
Yeah.
Well, and that thing, I've only ever been on one boat that utilizes the hydrovane. I have an Aries wind vane on mine, but
Cool.
that is going to be your absolute best friend out there. I mean,
Yeah.
those, I know you've got one of the little autopilots on the helm, but yeah,
I got that. So I have basically like 3 autopilots. So I'll have that, and then I got another used one of those, arm for the tillers
yeah.
that will go on my hydrovane.
Oh, okay, cool. I've
So-
always wanted to try and figure that out. I've never been able to sort out exactly what angles and how I would do it for the Aries. Plus,
Yeah.
the Aries, I don't know, it just doesn't quite add up. On the West Sail, like when you use one of those tiller pilots, it has to be completely flat water, and you essentially have to be motoring because the tiller is so heavy. Like,
Oh yeah.
it'll just rip that little thing in half
Yeah.
if you're actually
wonder.
trying to sail.
I guess I'll find out.
Well, but that's the thing though, is if you hook it to the hydrovane, you actually are using that servo pendulum in there
Yeah.
to actually so there's no leverage on the actual autopilot tiller pilot thing. And
Okay.
that's what I've never been able to sort of figure out. But I also barely ever motor.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just I'll sit and I'll drift for days if I have to, and
Yeah, that's what you got to do. That's what That's I don't think I'll motor on the way to Hawaii at all. I mean, there's no point. Like I don't have much diesel. Like it's a 30-gallon tank, so
right. Well,
why
and
motor?
one of the lessons I learned, so when I I think I ran out of all my fuel like day like 230 or something, but I still had to cross the doldrums north of the equator. And now, because I had zero fuel, like when I was becalmed, there's a lot of shipping that was going around, and
Oh yeah.
almost got run down a couple times. And there's just
I
literally
guess you
nothing
didn't.
I could
Yeah, I
do.
didn't think about that.
Yeah, so that was one of the big lessons
You
I
had
took away.
230 days at sea.
Well, no, that trip was 271 to get around the world.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
you
That's
get
crazy.
you start
That's
to
so cool.
you start to really mentally
Go insane.
go insane about 220 days or something like that.
Really?
The videos get weirder and weirder. I do a lot of like presentations and stuff like that, and the last like 5 videos are all just me, huge beard and just scary eyed and like just talking. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. But that was one of the biggest things. I remember like when the engine puttered out and I was like, oh man, I'm out of fuel. I didn't think too much about it. But when that first ship came over the horizon and
Yeah,
I
you're like, oh,
couldn't do anything, I was like, oh, this is
yeah,
bad. This is bad. So
yeah, yeah. That's it. I did. Never thought about it like that. That is a good point.
keep a tiny bit going.
Yeah, yeah. I'm bringing 2 additional 5-gallon jugs that I'll have too. But
Nice, nice.
yeah, that's good to know. You know,
Oh,
that's the thing
helpful.
about being in the life and like talking to people. You do like all this. There's stuff like that you don't really learn. It just from being in the life, you just start to pick all these things up, and it becomes like a kind of like just like an intuition. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
well, and
that's been really cool.
the sharing of nautical knowledge and seamanship, all that sort of stuff, whatever you want to call it, that's literally been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years. We're all basically able to do these things because of all the people who did the trial and error and
Yeah,
figured out ships and all this sort of stuff. And so we stand on the shoulders of giants, but
yeah,
it's still like it for us and for me. I learned a lot from other sailors when I was in my 20s, but the solo stuff, dude, I learned it by screwing it up over and
yeah,
over again. It's one of those things where now, when I do the consulting stuff, if I can help people steepen that learning curve so that they don't have to make the same mistakes that I did, that's like one of my ultimate goals, is just to be like, dude, I made it by the skin of my teeth so many times and I made so many mistakes, but you don't have to, because I'm going to show you just why I do that. So
yeah. That's really cool.
it's been fun. And I know, but it's weird. I've always found in the sailing world, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because sometimes there's a lot of sailors that kind of constantly want to push their opinions on other
Yeah,
sailors, like, you
yeah,
know what you need to do, that sort of thing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know, it's not.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, anybody that tells you that you need this is the way,
Yeah,
it's
that's like a
not.
red flag,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
and that is something I've learned is because I've obviously had so much input from so many different sailors on like social media and
yeah.
in these marinas and stuff, and like I so like well, to finish my point, I've learned that it's really important to like just kind of use your best judgment to filter out, because there's so
Right.
much knowledge and so much different opinions. Trying to just filter out what seems the most legit to you, and then kind of just go with that and see if it works. But like what I was gonna say is, so like I had this one guy who's gave off the impression that he's a super salty dog, and this is when I first got the boat. And this guy's a super salty dog, what I thought, and so I completely trusted him, and I had to go up the mast. And I was like, dude, do you mind just help me go up the mast? And I'm like halfway up the mast, and I realize he has no idea how to work the clutches or the winches. And so
Oh
I'm up,
man.
halfway up the mast. I'm like, dude, you need to lock it off, lock it off. And I'm like slipping down, and I was like, oh my god, I was teaching him how to use it while I was up the mast.
Oh man.
And
Well,
that was crazy. So you learn, like, it's like, all right, so that's a lesson learned.
yeah, right. 100%. Well, and that one in particular, Dude, I got buddies of mine that will go and they'll go and hop up people's masts to help them out and everything, and that's all good. But they'll just kind of be like, "All right, you know what you're doing, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, oh yeah." And I will be like, "All right, so let's just review here how many
Yeah,
reps
yeah,
we want to put on, because yeah, dude,
yeah,
it's kind of scary putting your trust in
yeah,
somebody like that. But
yeah. And
I'm
I
glad you
completely blindly just because I didn't really know what I was doing, so I figured, yeah, he's gonna know what he's doing.
right. No,
And
100%.
yeah, completely blindly did that, but
Oh shit, man.
survived. You know, and I'm sure there's more. There's certainly going to be more scenarios like that to come, but uh, yeah,
Name of the game is getting through them and not letting them ever freaking put you down to a point where you're like, I'm done with this. I'm quitting and I'm
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. I know.
It's not the
Yeah,
easiest thing sometimes. I mean, that the ocean is it can be just such a brutal beast. Like
yeah,
not just saying like, oh, giant waves or, crazy winds and stuff, but like the discomfort level
yeah,
sometimes that it'll
yeah,
just throw at you for extended periods of time. Like, oh my gosh! Like I've created a bunch of videos and never uploaded these, but these are like when the times are so bad and so annoying, and I'll video my future self and be like, "All right, I hope you remember this day." The
yeah,
next time you think you want to go sailing, because this is the
yeah.
worst thing ever and you hate it, and we're definitely selling the boat when we get back.
Yeah. That's funny.
And
It's
then,
it's funny how like what I learned too is like seasickness can totally change your like that can totally change your
oh,
outlook on everything.
yeah,
Like 'cause I'd never been seasick before, but when I was sailing in Portugal, we were out for the day, and I got seasick when we first got out. And in
yeah.
my head, I'm like, oh my God, I've made the biggest mistake of my life. And then later the seasickness went away, and then I was like, oh dude, I'm having the time of my life. This is the funnest thing in the world. And then I got seasick again, and I was like, oh my God, dude, what am I doing? And it was just this weird, and it was just a day. It was just this weird roller coaster,
Yeah.
and it's just funny how that works.
Well, I'm sure once you go and you spend an extended amount of time out there, I think everybody just gets used to it. But
Yeah.
I don't suffer from seasickness, thankfully. But
Ever?
no, I never have. But
Oh, wow, you're one of the lucky few.
I definitely am. And when I was a kid, I got seasick, car sick, air sick, every kind of
Huh.
sick. I was like,
Yeah.
my parents must have absolutely hated me. But now, yeah, I do though. Ever since somebody told me a long time ago when I was headed out to do my first like yacht delivery and as a crew member, and they were like, dude, take a Dramamine before you go. And that way, like, you can almost guarantee you're not going to be the guy getting seasick. And I was like, oh, yeah, might as well. And so I did that. Everybody else was seasick. We were doing like Newport, Rhode Island down to Florida in the wintertime. And I got to sort of be the one guy who was like, no, I'm good. I'll make dinner. I'll do this. And so I've done it kind of like as a ritual ever since.
Yeah.
But I also found it had actually a better benefit was that it makes you drowsy, which is nice for a solo sailor. It's like you're just stepping straight into the I could sleep at any moment mode,
Yeah.
which is kind of what you find after a few days out at sea, because
Yeah.
you get that fatigue, but sometimes you can't sleep for a while, and sometimes when you do sleep, it's only for like an hour or two at
Yeah.
most. But
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting to figure out how that works.
I think
Um,
everybody kind of has their own method. I know quite a few solo sailors that do like 20-minute cat naps. I don't know how they do that. Like
yeah,
I can't do that. I mean, there's times where you have to when there's traffic and stuff,
yeah,
but or the winds are real shifty or whatever. But like once you're out on the open ocean, you don't see very many ships. You got an AIS. I'll go and sleep for a couple hours at a time, and just wake up. I'll look at the clouds, make sure there's no squalls, and then I'll go right back to
yeah,
sleep.
yeah. Cool.
But so, do you have any? Are there any like I don't know concerns, or whether it's like equipment or weather or the route, or even just like mental like readiness for going out there?
I just don't want to sink my boat. Is all it comes down to. Like that's it. And I'm just, I think the most important thing is just getting offshore. Uh, yeah, get offshore and then figure it out. Like I don't even know really the route. I haven't really looked too far into it, but I think what I'm going to do is go get offshore and then head towards Hawaii, and then at some point I cross over or head towards so get offshore, head towards California, and then at some point I cross to Hawaii, and that's what I'm going to do there. And I don't really have any concerns, not really, and I have a lot of redundancies. So if I lose power, then I can sort things out. And then I'm also going to bring the charts, and I have a sextant, and then I have a book on how to use the sextant in the event that I need to use it. So, you know,
Hey, well,
I'll figure it out.
That's better than most, honestly. That's not bad. At least you have the equipment, because
Yeah,
I mean, for the longest time before they figured out how to do like the longitude stuff, all they would do, like for instance, if you're trying to sail, just being able to check your latitude with the sextant, which is an easy thing, like it doesn't take much calculation. You'd basically just keep sailing south until you hit the exact same latitude as Hawaii, and then
yeah,
just sail due west until you
yeah,
find it.
yeah, yeah,
That's literally how they used to get to like America, go to the Caribbean, all that sort of stuff. But the fact that you have that stuff is definitely that makes me glad for you. Because a lot of times people put a lot of trust in the electronics, and the only problem is that stuff can all disappear with like one
No,
lightning strike, you know?
yeah. My goal is to be be in a position where I can be completely, regardless what happens, where I have all the tools and the means to be off. Like if I lose all my power, I
Yeah.
want to have all of the redundancies in place. Like I don't know how to use a sextant, but I have it. I have the book, and I'll probably try and figure out how to learn on the way there.
Yeah.
Just mess with it and stuff. And but like I'll have the things. I'll have everything I need here to figure it out. And that was important to me, because I don't want to. Like I don't want to. Like the very last thing I would do. Like I think a lot of people like have like a false sense of security with like all of the modern stuff with like EPIRBs and things like that. That is like, if I hit that EPIRB, my boat is completely underwater. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
on the boat if I'm hitting that thing, because I don't want to do that. So yeah,
Well, they have that saying, man, is that you don't like get into a life raft, you step up into it, which means
yeah,
like
right,
your
yeah,
boat is no longer on the
yeah.
surface.
The boat is the life raft. Like the boat
100%,
is the
yeah.
life raft. And until it's not, then it's not. But it's the life raft until it is gone. So
Absolutely, man. Oh,
yeah,
well, this is cool, dude. Well, I'm hopeful. Hopefully, we'll be able to kind of follow the void. Obviously, we'll be able to follow it, on social media and stuff. But maybe we can do like a check in, do another
yeah, for sure, man.
podcast, like when you get out to Hawaii and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Um, yeah, I wish you the best of luck, dude. And
Thanks.
I for sure like want to have a long conversation about like safety stuff, but at
Yeah,
the same time, until you want to learn about that from a person like me, I'm just gonna let you just ride it out.
Wait, what? I guess what I do want to learn. What would be the most important? What do you say? What would you? I don't know. What would be the most important piece of advice you think you would give?
Well, I think having sort of the list of just kind of the normal safety stuff, i.e., you've got your life raft, you've got your grab bag, but then also as a solo sailor, you've got something like the hydrovane to be able to sail that boat, and it's like a proper sort of thing. Um, but then it's also about like storm sails and dealing with sort of heavy weather situations and the scenarios of like, okay, this is a time to like heave to, be able to do it quickly and efficiently so that you can, weather some storm or whatever. and then, you know, not damage the boat, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it would be something where we'd have like a long conversation where if you had sort of specific questions or certain areas, and I know it's hard because until you gain the experience, like if we talked after you get to Hawaii, you'd probably be like, okay, I got this
Yeah.
list and I got to know why this did this or that. And, but I think honestly, you know, probably one of the most important things is kind of just believing in yourself, because the ocean's going to test you so hard. And, you know, I almost can guarantee there's going to be times where you start thinking about something like that EPIRB. You know, I definitely have
Yeah.
for sure. And it's basically kind of believing in the fact that, you know, no matter what happens, you're going to be creative and you're going to figure out solutions. I mean, already watching your videos and stuff, you're figuring out ways through all these obstacles that boat's throwing at you right now.
Yeah.
And as frustrating as it is at the time, like, you're doing a great job of just staying positive and just getting on with it.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's definitely, it's tested me already for sure. But yeah, you know, I'd say that, I'd say, circling back to the concern, what's the most concerning would be that, I think that would be it, would be the dealing with like how I'm going to deal with like squalls and things like that, and how I'm going to, because I've never seen a squall, and how I'm going to be able to recognize it.
Yeah.
When it comes, you know. But yeah, I mean, I'll figure it out. And I got extremely lucky. I haven't announced it yet on like my social media, but I'm in the middle of getting new sails and storm sails.
Nice.
Too. I had Kraken Sales reach out. Shout out to them. The owner of Kraken Sales, super nice guys. I didn't get them for free, but they're like, you know, I could not get them. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Nice.
Yeah. So I'll have my sails that are on the boat, which are in fine condition. The boat was super lightly sailed, and the Dacron I took it into North Sails and had them. I even had them I only had 2 reefs. I had them add a 3rd reef.
Nice.
So they're in great condition, but I'll put the new sails on, and so I'll have backup. So if I do fucking obliterate my sails, I'm not I'm not totally dead in the water. So
what did you get? You get a main, a jib, and then a storm
a
jib?
main and a storm jib.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So yeah, that is cool. So I'm stoked about that. That is a peace of mind for sure, because I was a little bit worried about that. Cause, like, you know, I don't know. I don't want to. I used to watch these videos, and I've been in a couple of experiences already where like I've a couple scenarios where, you know, I'm lucky to still have the boat, because I didn't really look much up when I started. I just literally bought the boat, no idea how to sail, and I just started taking it out on the Columbia River, which is a narrow river. And it's like 2 to 3 knots of current, and shit goes crazy. You know, it's got its own ecosystem of wind. So all of a sudden, it's like, it'll be like 30. One time I took it out, and it was like, it ended up being 40 knots of wind. And I sailed upriver for like 3 days, and it ended up being 40 knots of wind. And there's one time I was sailing, and I was like, well, I'm gonna just put the jib out, and as soon as I put the jib out, there's this crazy gust of wind, and the jib just completely blew. Like, you know, it filled completely.
Yeah.
Because I didn't.
The furler unfurled all the way. Yeah.
And I learned that I could have tied it on the cleat and kind of let it so it didn't slip through my hands.
Yeah.
And ease it out. I didn't know that at the time, and so the jib completely filled. The boat started, you know, turning around.
Yeah.
And I'm 50 feet away from the shore, so I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, my God.
So awesome, dude.
Yeah. And, survived that one. So there's things like that I know are going to happen that I'll just have to figure it out on the fly. And then so in that situation that I was in, so that happened, and there's not a lot of time to figure it out. And then I try to furl it back in, and the furling's so heavy, and I've never experienced wind like that. So I'm like, oh, it must be because of how windy it is. So I'm like really trying to pull it in. I'm like, this is crazy, you know, and it's flogging in the wind. I'm like, this is not good. So I wrap it around the winch. It's taking forever, and I run up to the front of the boat after I fill, or when I go to anchor. I go up to the front to go drop the anchor, and I see the furling line is caught underneath the anchor. That's why it was so
Oh,
tight. So it's like
yeah.
there's stuff like that that you just learn from like experience and like just surviving through it, I guess.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah. No,
So
for sure. Well,
yeah.
I mean, God, it's the best. I think it's if you're lucky enough to make it through, and I'm only speaking my own experiences, but when I'm super lucky and I screw something up real bad, but I make it through somehow, those are the lessons that stick with
Yeah.
me literally
Yeah.
for like the rest of my life. They're,
Yeah, because you think about it, you're like, man, I was so close. You
yeah, it's like,
cringe and you
oh,
win, and you're like, oh shit.
oh,
So I'm sure there's
God.
more of those to come. And yeah, it's just a risk, you know. You just take the risk and just sleep in whatever bed you make, and that's
Yeah,
it.
just get
Yeah,
after it. Well,
yeah,
I guess if I were going to offer one thing up, it would just be to, every morning when you're out there, one of the first things that I do is I take a quick walk around the deck and I look at every pin and every ring ding to make sure nothing's like wiggled its way loose.
yeah,
That I have found on like probably 5 occasions that with like the movement of a centimeter pushing a pin back in, I've basically made it so that my mast isn't going to fall down or
yeah.
some
Jeez.
other seriously catastrophic thing. There was
Yeah,
one where the Aries wind vane, the pin that holds the wind blade was dangling like almost ready to fall overboard, which would have almost made it so I couldn't use the thing anymore. And it
yeah,
was because I do that, that morning check. So
yeah,
even when it's super rainy or super crummy out, every single day just get eyes on it, and
yeah.
that
That's good
is
advice.
that one's super important, man. And I've been on so many trips where people don't do that, and that's when like also you find like there might be some area on like your sail that's starting to chafe through
Yeah,
that you don't see because you don't go and look around at it. But then when
yeah,
it comes unglued and blows up on you, you're like, ah, shoot.
yeah,
But
yeah. That's
I,
good advice.
but
Yeah,
I don't want. I honestly, yeah, I don't want to dole out a bunch of advice because I'm just it's super cool to meet and be able to chat with somebody who's just freaking gripping and ripping, dude, just going
yeah,
for it. It's so
yeah.
cool. I love it. I love
Cool.
it.
Thanks,
Um,
man.
but yeah, I'll just to wrap these things up and stuff. I will put links in the description of this episode for whatever you want. You just let me know. But if you got any things you want to plug right now, give
Well,
you the
yeah,
floor.
yeah. It's all sailing with Phoenix. All of my handles for Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. And if you want to cringe and wince, then go check it out.
And laugh because it's funny,
Yeah,
man. You've got a
yeah.
great sort of way of editing the things together that I don't know. It's very entertaining, dude. Job well done.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thanks, man. I appreciate that a lot.
no worries, no worries. Well, and I'm sure we'll be in touch and stuff. But
Yeah.
good luck out there, and just freaking hold fast and believe in yourself, dude. You'll make it. You'll get to Hawaii.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
All right, and.